Big Boss Filmworks and Big Boss Books presents Courtney Robert Brown Jr.'s follow-up to the book Motown Mafia. Motown Mafia, big man on campus. Corey Black Jr. is a newly pledged frat member who is in college to make his mother happy and proud that he'll be the first man to go to college in the family. He's also the nephew and son of two of Detroit's most notorious drug kingpins. His father, Corey Black, has fled authorities. His Uncle Joe Black is the reigning figure in the narcotics trade. Uncle Joe has Corey do runs for him to carry on the family business, laundering money and running narcotics. Uncle Joe also owns real estate with Corey's mother, who has a great deal of control in the business. Corey Black Sr. wanted Corey to go to school to bring legitimacy to the family, but Corey had other plans. While in college, with the help of his friends and his girlfriend, he starts and grows a successful drug operation. Unbeknownst to Uncle Joe and Tracy, Corey enjoys the most exclusive strip clubs, frat parties, casinos, and women that the city has to offer, all while basking in his newfound popularity. Corey finds himself conflicted with his responsibility to running the family business and his obligation to his college studies. However, he'll have to make things work in his favor if he wants to remain the big man on campus. The names have been changed to protect the guilty and the innocent.
Courtney, come sit down.
Yeah.
I'm here with Courtney Brown of Motown Mafia fame. Courtney Brown Jr. to be exact. Sorry.
Courtney Robert Brown Jr.
Courtney Robert Brown Jr. of Motown Mafia fame. He was not the Motown Mafia, though he did produce a documentary, and allegedly he may or may not have helped out with certain things later on. But
Well, not in that part of the story. I was a kid in that part of the story.
Did you ever accept trash bags with brown paper bags with money from unknown white men at your door?
Little anecdote on that.
No, he didn't say no. You noticed it.
Little anecdote on that.
Wait a second. No. Let's jump right in. Let's jump right in. No. Listen. So I'm going to tell you guys one of the most interesting, well, there's so many interesting, let me not rank them, but off the top of my head, an extremely interesting story prompted by my little joke about accepting money from white men in a brown paper bag.
Right.
So circa the early 1980s,
okay.
Your dad's been in prison 6-7 years. He's in his last home stretch.
Right.
And you guys certainly are not, you haven't moved back to Detroit or anything so terrible, but, or had you?
No, actually, we were, but we
were in Northwest.
We had to downsize and move up to Outer Drive.
Okay,
which I just discovered that what we call the downsize was other people.
The nicest part, yeah.
Was other people, but anyway, yeah.
So you guys certainly weren't hurting, but you weren't living the Kingpin lifestyle. But Dad's about a year or two out.
That's right.
And suddenly, you're in 12th grade, maybe?
My senior year?
High school.
Yes, I'm in.
And all jokes aside, strange white men with money start showing up at the door, and as we unraveled and your dad told the story, it was because he was doing some things with the very, very infamous Westies.
Yes.
Who were the murderous Irish crew that the Gambino family was using to do quote unquote work back in the 1980s. One of them was locked up with your dad, and as we can only surmise, what? Tell us the details.
Well, as he goes in and tells the story that he's minding his own business, which is like
in federal prison.
In federal prison.
Can I have a puff of your cigar?
Yes, you can. And I have another one too, so you can actually have that.
Thank you.
As it would be like the story of his meeting connections. He's minding his own business, doing his time. Guy he knows from the old days.
Getting close to getting out.
Irish guy approaches him and says, "Hey, we got some mutual friends." Well, basically, he says, "You're Courtney Brown. You're the big man's man, right?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You talking about Eddie? Talking about Eddie Jackson?" He's like, "Yeah, that's my man." He was like, "Yeah, well," he's like, "Our friends. We got some mutual friends. They speak real highly of you, and you're about to come home. But if you got anybody who's already out there now, we can do some things like that, and I'm gonna run it through, and basically I'm gonna run it back through our Italian friends, make sure they sign off on it, because I guess those guys got a lot of protocols. They're big on protocols.
That's why they've been around 120 years.
Right, he's like, I'm gonna run it back through our Italian friends, run it back through the guys in Hell's Kitchen, And running back, I guess, it was like a whole vote running through our friends in Boston.
Oh, wow. So I probably went to the commission, perhaps.
And if everything is everything, my father's like, in 2 weeks later, they were like, who do you want to pick up the bag? Senior guy. So yeah, my last year, that senior year of high school, was very much kind of returning of the lifestyle that I grew up.
So what? There literally would be people that might show up and give, like what you had to.
Jerry
grab some
Boyer,
bags.
shout out to him because we spoke about that without going deep into it. He's a good friend of the family, and his brother actually just passed, and we gonna do a little
R.I.P.
tribute to his brother, R.I.P. And then unfortunately can't go into because a lot of these guys' names are still ringing in the streets today.
Mr. X, Mr. Y, and Mr. Z.
Mr. X, Mr. Y, and Mr. Z.
Wait a second, their name is ringing in the streets from 1982 or something?
You know, it's Detroit. Detroit guys are like.
Sheesh.
Detroit guys are like.
Sheesh.
It's the next generation.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, and even if they're not in it full time,
They might, in any given day,
allegedly. But yeah, so spring trip will be coming up, getting ready for graduation, getting ready for college, and they'd stop by the house, literally knock on the door. If mom was there, they'd call mom. Mom said this from Courtney. So they could be white, they could be Irish, Italian, or brothers from
that you knew or whatever.
that we knew that. They had a good bag actually. They had a good bag.
So like you always say, the air at the top is thin, and people. It's surprising that people that know each other way up the food chain.
Way up the food chain. And reputation.
Oh, they can look, it's interesting. Criminals read the paper too. And they can look and say, oh, you had that big case out of Detroit or St. Louis, and it doesn't look like you told. And according to the paper, you sold $1 million a week.
You can handle this bag.
What's
for
up?
us. You can handle the bag for us. And that's actually the old man with the Westies when he first got out, and then later it was his reputation that hooked up with the guy, Mr. B down in the Bahamas, and then even
Was Mr. Q in before?
Before somebody said his name, Basil Miller.
Oh, he's deceased.
He's deceased, yeah. All that was reputation. Again, you go on the biggest cases that come through Detroit in that era, 32 guys, all 32. And you follow this stuff. When's the next time you think 32 people will get indicted, 32 will go to trial, 32 will get found guilty?
And went to the Supreme Court too.
Went all the way to yes.
Probably never. Maybe never.
And nobody cop out.
Maybe never.
Yeah.
Maybe never.
Never. But I guess it was different. They weren't, that's the crazy part. Back then, I mean, their sentences were high, 21.
But you did the parole.
Right. So Eddie got sentenced
to 30 and did 9 or something.
Nah, he did, on that case, the crazy thing, he actually did, my father did more time.
Oh, right, because, yeah. Your dad did about 8 or 9?
Eddie got out in 8, he went in 6 months before the old man and got out a year before the old man.
Okay.
He did like 6 months.
They weren't out together?
For a 6-month period of time.
Oh.
So Eddie got released.
Did your dad avoid him, or?
No.
Business-wise?
It was just, well, of course, and the weird thing was.
Eddie got himself in trouble pretty quickly.
Right. Me and Eddie Jr. are spending Eddie every day together. And so at that point.
Shout out to Eddie Jr.
Shout out to Eddie Jr.
Eddie Baby.
Eddie Baby at Instagram.
Salute you.
That's right. So it was that 6-month window. In fact, a little not tragic. The last time my father and Eddie ever saw each other in person, I was graduating from high school, so this is the summer of '83. My old man was only about 9 months from
To
here.
hear all these people yap about and rap about. That was
Right.
high school graduation year.
Graduation year. Milton Henry and the lawyers finally, because they knew they were just shitting over the old man. Everybody else from the case was home but him.
Oh.
And his kids graduating from his only son.
Well, they kind of let him out for that.
They let him out for 3 days.
Oh.
Everyone else from the case was home but him. And the number one guy, the guy, Eddie Jackson's home. And he's still in jail. He's already missed his daughter's graduation because that was earlier. My sister's 3 years older than me.
They weren't going to let him out then.
They weren't going to let him out then. But at this point, it was ridiculous for him even to still been locked up. Anyway, they let him out for 3 days. And Eddie, being Eddie, the guy that he is, he came by right after graduations. They scooped the old man. They must have bent a few corners because the old man come back in, you know, well, 50, 60,000.
Bent a few corners.
Bent a few corners. Him, Huckabuck, and Black Butch.
Now it couldn't be just a Detroit saying, but I have not heard anyone from another city say bend a few corners.
I think that may be a colloquialism of.
It means you're going to do a crime and get money.
Yeah. Basically, you got to hit a couple corners, you know, and see who what and what is when.
That's what it means.
When is why. And yeah, they bent a few corners and came back and
it was just time to really tell a great untold Detroit story because it kind of covers Detroit at its zenith.
Very interesting story.
we decided that we were going to make a movie.
All right, Rich Rossi with you with Motown Mafia. I'm with Courtney.
Lewis Stevens.
Lou Stevens, Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown Jr.
And Alan Al Prophet Bradley.
And this is an entrepreneurial, inspirational story too, because again, you know, I'm a real estate retail guy. You know, that's what my skill set is. But I'm a businessman, so I was like, you know, we're gonna do it. You know, sometimes when you got a dream, you won't have all the answers on how you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
What made this one unique was not so much the crime, but the intertwining with Detroit's history and the Motown era and kind of the economic decline of Detroit. And it's really the story of a family. And from some perspectives, has a happy ending, like you said. For others, it didn't have a happy ending.
Right.